Super happy that I listened to him. Thanks for giving me a couple extra minutes. Much appreciated today. So, my name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. We'll bring my little furry assistant up in just a moment. You're here for your monthly reading. This is for the sign of Sagittarius. You can always use my readings for your sun, rising, and moon signs. I do have a special part that is coming in right before the meditation. This is the only graphic that I didn't update, but I'll bring in some sign-specific messages. I should say placement-specific messages for the sun, rising, and moon portions. But otherwise, you can use the entire reading for any of those aspects. A lot of times I have people coming in here and asking, what sign is it? It's Sagittarius. It's in the title. And you can check out all of my readings for April. They're on the main channel right now. This is for May. And the reason we do it a little bit in advance is so you know what's coming and so that you can exercise some free will to make the most of it. My overall format is right here. I like to begin with channeled messages, and that's basically my conversation with Spirit before we get started. Then we'll look at the Celtic Cross, which is what you've come to expect from most readings on YouTube. That's going to give us a chance, though, to... I take a slightly different approach where I don't focus it in one area. I just allow the main message to come through, and then we can look at specific areas afterwards, including health, wealth, love, and destiny. The latter portion is interactive. We'll have a few things where we look at like the big idea, blessings and blocks, but then I give you a chance to vote on some things that I'm picking up on trends, and then you get to have a chance to interact with what I look at, and then I'll look at something new. And then at the very end, after we go through those sort of aspects, like I said, there'll be a chance for a meditation and a final question, one that you can meditate on. And that is the overarching, and there's Apollo in the background. And that is the overarching organization for today. My name is Nicholas. Let's pull up this little guy for a second. Let's say hi to everybody. A very well-fed and recently walked Apollo, wishing everybody a lovely day. Thank you for letting me give this guy a little walk. He needed it. Thanks, Apollo. All right, so a couple of quick notes, secretarial stuff, and then we'll get into the reading today. If you'd like to talk live here with me, you do need to be a subscriber. I recently kind of went solo because one of my moderators is no longer able to moderate, so it's just me during the week, and then Dakota and I on the weekends. So during the week, I've slowed down chat, and I've made it subscriber only. That way, we can continue to have this nice community here, and I can do it without the help of somebody. So thank you for cooperating with that. If you want to get reminders on where to kind of see me, what's going on, etc. I actually put a bunch of links here as I was getting set up, but you can look at the pinned comment, and easy way to remember is on almost every major social platform, especially the ones here, it's just my name, @Nicholas Ashbaugh. No extra lines or numbers or spellings or accounts. It's just one for each of those. And if anyone tries to reach out or ask for anything in Messenger, that is not me. So realize that the only way to interact is here. One thing that I might be doing in the next couple of days, because I took a break on Instagram while I was just dealing with my own life for a bit, I might do sort of like a daily message or something like that. Again, a very brief live, kind of like an after reading, after party sort of thing. So we'll see how that works. More to come on that. I'm always experimenting with what I do. If you enjoy what you see here, this is optional, but it does help the channel. You can always help out with a super chat, super sticker, or become a supporting member. These are just ways to help me do more. I'm going to try to launch a podcast this summer, so this will kind of get... I've freed up my schedule too, so I know that will happen, but this sort of helps me have the resources to produce yet something else on top of all the other things that I'm doing. So thanks for giving back. I appreciate it. My schedule is always on my website, and I always try to put a comment on the community tab here. All right, with all of that being said, let's get into the channeled messages. Channeled messages for today. Very interesting totems came through, I have to say. One of them came as I was sort of researching the other day. I love the Nine of Pentacles, and I was looking at different types of snails and slugs or whatever, and I stumbled across something that I'd not seen before, this sort of sea slug that's capable of photosynthesis. So let me just get the presentation open, and we're going to talk about this, and I thought it would be perfect for your sign today. All right, so let me just see if I can open this up. All right, here we go. Hopefully it will come up. It's eluding me. There we go. All right, so it's called a leaf slug, which is kind of unusual. Also like a leaf, not sleep, but sheep. So let me fix this slide. I found one error here. And whenever I see like sheep or herders, there's always this question of leading and following, which I really didn't even put in this presentation, but that's like an extra piece. So here we go. Your spirit totem today is the leaf slug, which I'll show you a picture of in just a moment. And then its secret sort of weapon, or its, I guess, the sort of secret sauce, which would be algae. I know, very unusual kind of combination here, but this is what a leaf slug looks like. It's really cute, actually. This is just a Google image search. I can't feature any, so you can go and look at these up close. But it almost looks like a sheep with all these little leafy sort of structures coming out instead of like wool or anything. Anyway, it's really cute. But let's talk about some interesting facts about this, because I remember, I'm like, I never heard about this because it wasn't around when I was going to school. It was discovered in 1993 off the coast of Japanese island called Kuroshima. And it also is found in the waters of Japan, Philippines, and in Indonesia. So this particular organism is capable of a chemical process called kleptoplasty, klepto like stealing, and plasty like chloroplast, where you're able to sort of basically take light and make it into energy. So they take the chloroplasts and actually keep them in our systems. I know that the human sort of, mitochondria or something, we've done something similar, and it's just become a part of us. We don't have to steal it from something else, but they kind of take it and it stays in their system, and then they use it to synthesize energy. Again, layperson's version of what's going on. So yeah, it lets them indirectly perform photosynthesis, which means they need to eat less often than like a traditional slug would, which I thought was really fascinating. So immediately I was looking at that borrowed word there. Kleptoplasty is a behavior of taking chloroplasts from a food source and incorporating them into the consumer's cells. The word klepto, as many of us know, comes from the Greek word for thief. We even use it as just a derogatory, pejorative term for somebody else. And basically here, I think there's no getting around the Seven of Swords here, like stealing away in the night or trying to get away with something. You could also put the Moon card here or the Devil card. Borrowed in quotation marks, because really what this is encouraging us to do is to give proper credit where credit's due. So you can easily neutralize energy of the Seven of Swords with documentation. So credit your sources, and if any of you are geeks like I am, like back when we used to have CDs or albums, you would look at the liner notes to see who performed on what song, and if there was any really cool lyrics that you were missing, or something that was just sort of, under the radar. But specifically those collaborations. And I put here at the bottom, it takes a village sometimes to get things done. If you surround yourself with a really talented team, all that can do is elevate the ultimate work. And by lifting up others around you, you're all kind of rising higher. So there's nothing wrong with that. So if anyone in your life is taking credit where they shouldn't be taking credit, that behavior needs to be adjusted. When you're doing something, it's just saying to be mindful of being inclusive and being also just, again, acknowledging sources where the sources need to be acknowledged. Easy fix to that. But you may find that there are people around you that either encourage you to do the opposite or could be leading by a poor example, and you're going to lead by a better example here, okay? Pay attention to the details. Make sure that someone isn't trying to get away with something or isn't trying to claim something. A big thing that I could have put here as well is intellectual property, of course. So if you are working on something and you've put a lot of time and energy into it, and you just want to make sure that that's protected, by all means, work with the proper agent for that, or lawyer or whatever. Basically make sure that that is taken care of, okay? Enough said with that, but a really interesting piece as I was studying and I was drawn to this particular organism. I'm like, I don't know if I've seen something like that in nature. I'm sure it exists, but that was the first time that it kind of popped into my head. And I even took some advanced biology classes, and I was like, I remember this was not around when I was studying biology, so fairly new. And we already hear some of the construction, so just work with me. That's something I can't control, but I'll try to speak over it, and thank you. All right, so let's talk about some other things that we could be doing, again, being inspired by this organism that emulates. Rather than emulation, opt for originality. Although this is a really cool looking little creature here, I'm not enamored with the way it kind of takes one thing and uses it. I like the resourceful piece of it. That's a cool thing. But when it comes to us trying to neutralize what I was talking about here with the Seven of Swords, I would say one thing that you could also do is to just be original. But it does mean standing out, which is why I capitalize that. To make a trend, that means you're usually in the front. And when you're in the front, people may laugh, people may not understand, people may criticize. Time is usually the best judge and the kindest critic. In the moment, in this sort of mix, sometimes it doesn't always resonate. That's true of music, of art, of leadership. A lot of times we can't see until 10, 20, or 100 years later that something was ahead of its time. So be at the front of the line. Yes, it can be lonely, but it can also be rewarding. We're talking about this lovely little creature and also what it's eating, and all of it absorbs light. And I think one of the things that's coming through here is that there are people that are hungry for that inspiration. So if you can be the light source rather than being the one that's stealing or grabbing light, it's a better place to be. Or at least mirroring that higher light, something like that. So don't be afraid to stand out, to be original. Don't be afraid to take the heat if it's something that you are behind. It's really about originality. That's the thing that was coming through as a sort of foil to this particular totem. Good things take time. And this is kind of what I was thinking about as your main message when I was starting to kind of get ready yesterday for your sign. And so the snail, I actually went to a slug instead, but whenever I think of Nine of Pentacles, which is a great card to sort of meditate on because it shows your independence, it shows your sustainability, it shows your ability to kind of continue on your own without the assistance of others. It's just great. But that little tiny snail in the corner, which you'll see like right, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but it's basically, it's right there. There's a little tiny snail. I'll get a card here. But it always requires that patience, that diligence. And another thing that I don't mention with that particular little symbol is that sometimes the smallest detail matters the most, or inspiration can come from the strangest places. So what you want to really be mindful of is the little things in nature, little things in life, the little things in the contracts. So let me just pull my display here so I can see what's going on. All right, there we go, just so it's focused. Right there in the very corner, there's your little snail, because I know it's hard to see there. So it's a feature that most people would overlook, but I always pay attention to. Everything else in this card is really about that sort of reaping the rewards of hard work too. So for those of you that have worked really hard to get where you're at in your life, when that moment of accomplishment and satisfaction and fruition happens, it really does. This is encouraging you to just take it all in, drink it all in, soak it in like a sponge, okay? I wrote here as well that good things take time to develop and come to fruition. Don't rush to appease somebody who has a ridiculous or an unrealistic deadline or expectation. As someone who spent a large portion of time in the corporate arena, I'm very well aware of how ridiculous certain deadlines can be or how aggressive they can be. Truth be known, a lot of times people are just guesstimating their way through some of these things, and they will accept pushback, or they maybe hadn't considered some of the things that could go wrong if something was rushed. So when you bring up things like safety concerns, quality assurance, like this isn't going to, it won't be sustainable, it will break down. Reputation issues if any of these things happen. Monetary costs for pushing it so quickly. Suddenly you have more support. So dig into the reasons why it wouldn't make sense to rush through something. Spend the time that you need to so that the quality is there, so that you are behind it, so that this isn't something that feels shoddy or not the best. And so if I were to go talk to a younger version of myself, I would just say, push back. These are ridiculous things. And if they don't support it, then you're on record for what happens eventually when it falls apart. Okay. For you, if there's something you really care about, maybe going to school and achieving a degree, maybe working on some sort of home improvement thing, working on a relationship, healing through some sort of loss or challenge, then these things take time and work on your part. But the Nine of Pentacles is the payoff. Okay. So let's look at the unsung hero of the previous organism, the leaf sheep or the leaf slug. And it would be algae, because that's like the battery for this particular organism. So this is an all-encompassing term, and actually if you look up algae, you're going to have a hard time finding one definition. So we'll look at a couple of aspects of what was fascinating about algae, besides the fact that it's an unsung hero, and some of you may be playing the role of unsung hero. Size doesn't matter on this. It can range from a microscopic single-celled organism to the kelp forests in the sea that we know. So there's a lot of diversity within this particular group or classification. And so what's most important, again, is the impact that you have or the impact that something else has. Not so much size or money or status. How is this making a difference? Now, algae is everywhere. So I love that it's a kind of this beautiful, abundant energy. So if I see things like grass or clover come through in the totem, I would have the same sort of abundance message here. And I could have highlighted maybe like 10 of Pentacles or Ace of Pentacles or something of that nature, because I do feel like you have the capacity to foster growth, maybe even the King or the Queen of Pentacles. What's interesting about algae is, again, it's kind of simple. They lack some of the structures that we would see in regular, quote unquote, regular plants like roots and leaves. They are across all types of water, including ice and snow. And I thought this was really one of the most fascinating things that I could pick, which is that they can be used as an indicator organism to monitor when things are going wrong, like pollution. An example of this in the past would be like a canary in the mine, where something that's very sensitive would first show signs of stress or distress before like the human counterpart would. So when the algae system starts to kind of fall apart, we should be looking at what are we doing wrong. This is a basic organism that can't sustain. We're doing something that we shouldn't. You may be one of those sensitive people, and we'll talk about that in a second. First, let's focus on what I talked about with simplicity. I had an Ace of Wands because if I were to take an idea and simplify it and represent it by one thing, one card, it would be the Ace of Wands. So if something gets overly complicated or convoluted, just go back to the core idea. A lot of times when we go into like a board meeting, a family gathering, even like a group of friends, and you start talking through something, you like have a great idea at the beginning, but as each person tacks things on, it kind of gets top heavy and can't sustain itself. So get back into the core, get back into that first draft and see, did I lose something? For those of you that are either like musicians or writers, particularly if you're a poet, I don't know if you've experienced this, but like whenever I've written poetry, typically the first draft has almost everything that poem is ever going to be. What I do after that is add some embellishments, add some basically meter or rhyme or rhythm in it, but I'm not radically changing things. Or maybe this will be a stem or a core of what something else will be in the future, but that stem usually stays as it is. And if I go in and break it up too much, it loses the something special. So there's a chance for you right now to kind of focus on how you can stick with that something special, that idea, and hopefully that's going to help you out there. I also think that simplicity is an important piece for making sure that things still resonate. So again, sometimes if you overcomplicate it, you might be asked to kind of just stick with like a lay term or a common denominator. Break it down into something smaller, something more digestible, so other people are going to be able to understand it, okay? When we look at pop culture, when we look at popular music, when we look at anything pop, basically, that's usually what it is. It's something easy, sometimes even something repetitive. It may then lead you into a deeper sort of pool of art or knowledge or whatever, but we need to start with the hook. And I think that's kind of what this particular message is about. Now to the canary in the mine, the highly sensitive and highly perceptive sort of energy that I was picking up on. So you may see things long before others do or sense things long before others do. It's some of the same energy that was intrinsic and a part of the Six of Wands. Being at the front of that crowd means that you're taking a lot of the heat. So being highly sensitive and highly perceptive also means that you may take some heat for things that you do because you know it's the right thing, even though other people aren't there yet. So what I would try to encourage you to do when you're in the face of that trying to take sides energy is remind others you're just following your calling. You're not trying to take a different side, or it's not about not having their back or something like that. There may be a point where you got to go your own path here. And if we look at the moon card, we see a coyote or a wolf, and then we see a dog, and there's that path in between. Yours is the path in between. That kind of like back and forth energy that happens between those two animals, that is a stalemate sometimes. And that's a piece of this card that sometimes gets missed. The moon is there reflecting, helping you reflect upon that higher light, that higher purpose. It's showing you what you need to see. So just trust in that inner reflection, that inner knowledge, and you should be okay. Let me see if this is the last one. This is the last one, yes. So those are the main messages for today, and I feel like that sets us up for success here. Originality being a key component, being the light source, being the head of the sort of pack or the head of the crowd. And then here again, paying attention to that inner calling and not feeling like you need to take a side, or it's not about who's right or who's wrong. That's a very sort of polarized way to look at things, right? So as we prepare for the reading, I already selected some cards here. I'm trying to be organized today because I knew I was taking Apollo for that little last minute walk, which made him happy. So let me just show you the decks that I've chosen for you to vote on, and we'll go from there. All right, so this is True Heart Intuitive, Druidcraft, Field Tarot, and this one just left me, Revelations. I'll show you the cards in just a second. Let me go ahead and get the poll ready for those of you that are here and live, and we'll go and see what's going on here. So welcome, everybody. Thanks for being present and for being really great chat participants as well. I like that you guys keep it easy for me to self-moderate. I do appreciate that. All right, so True Heart Intuitive. Let's see, Druidcraft Tarot, Field Tarot, and the Revelations Tarot. Okay. How's everyone doing today? I hope that your day is getting off to a good start. I always like reading for this sign, so thanks for being you. Thanks for being unique. All right. Let me go ahead and send that poll out. You guys can vote on it. I'll get my glasses on so I can see what you're doing. And I'll show you a few of these cards as we're speaking here. So I'll just move this back for a second. This is the True Heart Intuitive, a kind of slightly unusual take on the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith. So you'll have some different cards, some really cool cards. I do like it. This one is a little bit more earthy here. So we have Druidcraft, lots of greens, lots of nature sort of tones, beautiful deck as well. There you go. Then we have a slightly more abstract one here with the Field Tarot, beautiful illustrations, yeah, just a little bit more abstract. And then one of my faves here, basically showing both the upright and reversed states of everything. This is Revelations. So for those of you that don't like reversals, this is basically saying they're always there. And we can see both upright and reversed energies and kind of understand why one is presenting itself. So let's take a look here. It looks like the True Heart Intuitive is in the lead. I'm going to end the poll. It's pretty close today, so I'll wait until all the numbers are in, and then we'll go forward. All right. So yes, by a pretty good advantage, by 30%, we've got the True Heart Intuitive. Good choice. All right, everyone, let's get into the Celtic Cross. Good choices, as always, and I appreciate your voting. So a reminder that you can always use this for Sun, Rising, Moon. We will have Sun, Rising, and Moon messages that will be coming later as well to help you focus in case you are watching for one of those aspects. You can also watch on behalf of someone that you love or care about in your life. There's that Queen of Pentacles energy that I was talking about when I mentioned algae, that abundant sort of symbol. I really do love this deck. It's so nice to see some different symbols, and this one definitely did a good job of keeping it simple, but also having some cool deviations. Plus, it's nice to look at, so that's always a plus. How's everyone doing today? We actually had a volunteer card here. The Siren, gorgeous card. Okay. And again, for anyone that does give a super chat, I noticed we just got one. I'll make sure to say thank you at the very end to everybody that does that. But thank you so much. All right, let's get started here. We have the beautiful Siren energy that came through in your catalyst. Let's talk a little bit about how the catalyst functions. The catalyst is a way for you to get things started and also keep that momentum going throughout the month. So the Siren is really interesting. If you play the role of the Siren, it means that you really have this great ability to pull people into your way of thinking. You can inspire them to do something they typically may not. You may just have this sort of charisma or power that people have a hard time putting their finger on, but they're really happy that you do. They're really happy that you're kind of in their presence. So the Siren can be beautiful in that respect, and especially when it comes to communication. To me, this would be one of the most persuasive cards when it comes to being an able communicator, an effective communicator, a compelling communicator. So I think for all Sagittarius out there right now, you're being positioned right now to shine when it comes to communication. Choose your words well and choose the sort of cadence well. I was talking about that with poetry. Whenever you listen to a really good public speaker, very rarely are they monotonous. Very rarely are they sort of static. They will use visual aids. They're going to have this sort of, sometimes even a sing-song quality to their voice. It's all about where you enunciate. A lot of times I like to listen to radio personalities, and different types of radio personalities will have a different cadence. So if you're listening to National Public Radio, it's going to have a much more sort of academic feel. If you're listening to rock station or a pop station, that's going to be much more animated. But you can tell a lot about the voice and about what you're going to receive. So really use intonation and all the different sort of nonverbal cues that you can to punctuate your messages, because if you do that, I feel like you have this capacity to make a splash in a sort of figurative way, but it's going to be really, really good. The Siren is also a warning card. So the Siren can be someone who appears to be something that they're not, because of course the myth of the Siren is that, they would kind of lure the fishermen or the sailors to the shore, but sometimes their ships would crash, right? So what's going on? If a contract looks like it's too good to be true, if someone says something on the surface and you think, nah, I need to dig a little deeper, dig a little deeper. Trust your intuition on that, okay? So the persuasive piece I like. The other piece is more of a warning, just to sort of trust the facts, trust your intuition. And if something seems to be too good to be true, then do yourself a favor and do a little research on that, okay? Nothing to get overly concerned about. You're watching this reading, so you're going to be able to see through that song, okay? Let's take a look at your center card. I love that you got the Wheel of Fortune here. By the way, Six of Wands as well. So look at the center when we're looking at like recent, past, present, and the future. Aren't they beautiful? Like, this is great energy for you this month. We have a little bit of a challenge here in the outcome, but when we're looking at the main core cards, like if you pulled everything away and it was just past, present, future, I would say you're going to have a great month. So let's still say that you're going to have a great month, and even the challenges we can totally get through. So the Wheel of Fortune at the center tells me that finally, maybe for some of you, or a continuation of good news, that you're headed in the right direction here. A Wheel of Fortune can indicate a reset or a recalibration. So for some of you, there may have been a lack, and by the way, it also looks like a nautical wheel, right? Like you're navigating here. So for some of you, you may have been floating out at sea a little bit, trying to find your direction, trying to find your North Star. And either through sheer kind of exhaustion, luck, or hard work, and let's just assume it's hard work and intuition, suddenly the path is clearer to you. And I want you to go with that, okay? This is a really, really good energy to support your focus. So if you don't have a focus, please try to find one by the middle of next month. We have a Mercury retrograde coming through. So pick one thing that if you're not clear on, that you're at least very passionate or curious about, and you're going to see progress there. All right. So when you focus, you see that you can come to the end of a project, goal, or aspiration. Money, yes, money. This is a good month for money and opportunity, a change of business, a change in general. Okay. Wheel of Fortune is a lot like the World card in that it is a positive shift. The World card is a punctuated end that tells you, hey, this is expansion, this is something new. Even if you aren't going to change everything, you're so much more kind of like expanded and visual that you or visible, I should say, that you still have to adapt. The Wheel of Fortune is a lot more subtle. It's saying there's new things opening up. There's a lot of wheels moving. What do you want to focus on? So my key piece of homework for all Sagittarius out there, Sagittarians, is to find something that you can really put your energy behind, because then you'll get a really good return on that energy. Okay? This particular card here is really interesting. You know, I often refer to the 5 and the 7 of Swords as cousins or brother-sister energy. They tend to come up a lot together in a reading, and even if I don't see the other, it's sort of like, yeah, the 7 of Swords is around the corner. So that was the one I highlighted, but we got the 5 of Swords here as what's crossing that. So very, very positive Wheel of Fortune, saying as long as you focus, as long as you apply yourself, we see movement. And then we've got the 5 of Swords. What's really interesting is that this is coming from the perspective of the person that's in the face of that 5 of Swords. So it's clear to me that most of you are not embodying 5 of Swords, you're witnessing 5 of Swords. So it's the witness energy. So a little bit of surprise and awe in this one, like I didn't see that coming, or I'm surprised that it actually did happen. I was hoping it wouldn't. So if you have an inkling that something's about to transpire, get ahead of that. Have a conversation. The 5 of Swords, however, is a warning that sometimes people in your life aren't receptive to your assistance, your help. So this may be more of a chance to mitigate the fallout that you would receive if you were to get into something. So I would advise you on this one to either, if your feedback falls on deaf ears, to just avoid working with that person or engaging with that person. It can also be like a blinking caution or hazard light where you decide, oh, I'm gonna focus over here. I'm not gonna even get involved in this at all. This is not my karma, this is not my problem, and I don't seem to be welcome here. I'm going to take my energy and invest it elsewhere. And then also, if someone won't listen to you or tries to shut you down, you can reschedule, you can get a mediator or something of that nature, because typically you can't win the 5 of Swords. You want to navigate around it, you want to elevate the conversation, neutralize the argument, somehow shift the attention to something different, okay? And that is the only thing that could take you sort of away from this very, very positive Wheel of Fortune. Just take another drink here, and then we're going to take a look at your deep past. All right. So we have the Queen of Wands here in the deep past. One of my favorite cards, as many of you know if you watch this channel regularly. What's cool with the Queen of Wands, she was reversed, but let's look at her upright first. She is capable of surprising people, taking them off guard because of her ability to come up with an idea, to land on her feet. The black cat is missing from this, but there's that cat in there. So that ability to have good reflexes, mental and physical, definitely a part of that. I like, I believe this deck is named after Rachel True, and I don't know if she illustrated it. I think she worked with an illustrator, but whoever she chose, I love the idea of the multitasking goddess arms that we see here. So you see 6 different arms here. So many of you may find yourself in this position where you're asked to do the work of more than one person. You could be splitting your time between 2 or 3 tasks. I am asking you to focus, but multitasking is possible, and this card is showing that you can do it. Now, because the card is in reverse, the multitasking piece is key. And I would say the delegation piece, that's really what I want to highlight, is key, because a good boss knows when she needs to give something to someone else or when she needs to work on it herself. The Queen of Wands in reverse sometimes walks the line of, I know I should give this to someone, but I want to do it myself, or I don't trust them, or I just can't help myself. So if you have any of that perfectionist nature or that controlling nature, then your insight could be so much better used in other ways, okay? So do yourself the credit of delegating and empowering, and then checking in on that person that you give this to, because that's the best way to kind of approach this. This is like the best possible boss when it's upright, because it's a amazing leader. In reverse, it can be a little bit heavy-handed, a little bit stubborn, a little bit isolated. So what you want to be focusing on right now is keeping an open mind, not doing more than is necessary, giving yourself enough free time to really be a thinker and an innovator, not just a doer, for those of you in a leadership position, okay? Even if you're not in a leadership position, you want to give yourself time to refocus and rejuvenate, okay? All right, so good card, but it is saying, hey, let's focus this a little bit better. Again, I think that's the key idea for Sagittarius this month, is how to focus. I love that you've got the 6 of Cups here in the recent past. So some of you might have just recently reconnected with a good friend. Maybe you're also reconnecting with something that brings you a sense of nostalgia. So there could be this activity that you're starting up again, or looking at some old photos. There's something that's kind of bringing you a healing and an inspiration moment from the past. Looking at all the butterflies kind of as the metaphor for the ship sail rather than the sails themselves. So when you change something, the way that you feel about something, when you fix a relationship, when you resuscitate something from the past that you forgot, that's like the wind beneath your wings. That's the wind in your sails that's coming through here. And a friend could be a conduit for that. A lot of times, more so than family, more so than a coworker, a best friend, or someone that just really feels like a soul or star brother or sister is coming through here and saying, yeah, I get what you're doing. Let's do this together. Yes, relationships could be coming through in a way that are exciting. When I look at the 6 of Cups, it's karmic energy. Karma can be positive. Karma can be something that needs to be healed. So we have a combination of the butterflies on this one, and then that sort of karmic partnership. So it looks like first you need to release or heal something, but then there's capacity for something new, and we even see that in the hopes and fears. So you're meeting a soulmate, a karmic partner. There's a little bit of a karmic lesson that needs to be resolved. And once that's done, it still looks like it's a great relationship, and it might be better than it was in the last lifetime or in this lifetime. So you get a chance to elevate. But you always get a chance when a karmic relationship comes to also release it. So just see how you feel once the karma is gone. Or it's not gone, but once the karma has sort of been released. All right, all of this is kind of setting you up for success. So this is the Queen of Algae, basically, the Queen of Pentacles here, and that was what I was talking about. It would have been the Ace of Pentacles, 10 of Pentacles, or the Queen or the King. So we got the Queen coming through. All of the growth that you would expect to see on a Pentacles card is represented there. So you have like a green thumb when it comes to being able to make things grow, financially, relationship-wise, even intellectually, coming through and changing things in your business. It's all looking pretty good for you. The only tripping point is you may not be able to win everyone on your side. I mean, I think that's a given, but it bears repetition since that's at the center of the cards. You also can't do everything. You can't do everything. You need help. So delegate. And that's not saying that you are incapable. It's saying you're going to be better able to be the Queen of Pentacles and manage all the business aspects when you let go of and the money aspects, when you let go of some of the minutia that this Queen of Wands is representing. And then we see success. But let's talk about actually a couple other things with the Queen of Pentacles, and I'll move into the success of the Six of Wands. Queen of Pentacles, she rules house and home. She makes a really good partner. So for some of you that are looking to focus on relationships, absolutely yes. For those of you looking to start a family, Six of Cups is not just a child, but family, and it can also be twins. So if you're trying to get pregnant, that could be a possibility. It could also be that past life energy coming through in the form of a child. So someone that you really cared about and loved, an elevated soul, if you will. So I really like everything about the Queen of Pentacles and in the position that she's in. So you're sitting pretty in a great position this month. The rabbit is a reminder that things can happen quickly, and we see a little snake here too. Her wand, or her, not her wand, but her, what would you call that, scepter. Her scepter is kind of keeping that snake in check, but that is we have a little bit of deception that's kind of interweaving in this month. It could be in the siren energy or the Seven of Swords that I was seeing earlier. You're going to pick up on it. Someone's trying to get away with something, but your third eyes are all open because you're watching this reading. You wouldn't be here if you weren't awake, and you're going to be able to differentiate. You'll be able to sniff it out. One thing that happens with me is if I'm too busy during the day, then nighttime is when I will pick up on it. So I'll get a dream. One happened last night. I woke up at 5 a.m. I'm like, okay, I need to do that today because this person wasn't telling me everything. So I see behind the curtain, either in my dreams or if I just take a few moments to meditate. Because sometimes we're too busy in the moment. So listen to your dreams, keep a journal, and then also just make time to meditate. I mentioned, I believe on the Weekend Collective, which if you haven't listened to, you should still listen to, that meditation, we sometimes try to construct what it needs to be. I was talking to a friend of mine who's really, really intellectual. He's a doctor. And he was talking about how prescribed and kind of like in his head he gets about meditation, where he's trying to get the thoughts out and then he focuses on, but now what does the space mean? I'm like, stop analyzing it. Just be present. So I don't care if you get crickets or if you are focusing on your body or your breathing or you get a lot of like psychedelic images in your head. Whatever it is, just be with that and then talk about it later or write it down or paint it or whatever. But like that, you just have to be, and receiving just this sort of sense of space. Like I just had a meditation over the weekend that was beautiful, where this just wash of energy came over me. And I thought, that's another thing that comes. It's not always about looking into the future, looking into the past. It's just about, hey, you're part of this really cool energy. So be present. And if you're present, then all this other stuff starts to come through. And that's what she needs. She doesn't need to eat algae to find the energy. None of us need to do what the sea slug was doing. All we need to do is kind of go within, reach up into the sky, and that is our battery. That is our algae. All right. Funny metaphors today. We got the Six of Wands here in the near future. Success. Whenever the Six of Wands is in the reverse state, there's a reminder here. Why am I doing this? Why are you doing this? Is it for your mom? Is it for your friends? Is it because your teacher told you? Or is it because it's your higher calling? Because we actually see all of those other entities and energies represented here. You can't make all of them happy. If you do, you feel like this overwhelmed Five of Swords, right? So Six of Wands is the answer, but it's about turning it around. And if we look at this Six of Wands in the upright position, I love that we see like this this bird and this little nest. And the nest is showing you it's going to take time. I have to watch over this. It's like my golden egg. I need to sit here until it is ready. And when I look at it really close here, we see like a daisy, we see a coin, we see dice, which is representing calculated risk. And then we also see this bird that is protecting its egg or its future from all these other sort of like carrion crow that are hovering around. It's like, no, this is my space. Intellectual property, like I was talking about. Some of you are onto some really great idea or innovation or invention. So protect that. Get the proper patent or trademark or copyright or all of the above in place. And in general, I would say, as you're moving through change and opportunity, be very mindful of who it is that you work with, speak to, or share things with. that's going to have more of an impact on your success than you might realize. Ultimately, though, Six of Wands is the Six of Wands, so it's showing success, visibility, maybe a little bit more scrutiny than you might be used to. And again, the important thing here is when scrutinized, when asked questions, make sure that you stand firm for what it is that you believe. And, I was talking about being at the lead of the pack. Sometimes it's a little lonely, but, you are supported in this path. And that's what that hand is representing, like any of the ace cards in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. So I'm really happy with what we see here. There is a little bit of nurturing, a little bit of incubation that needs to be done, but it's not going to take as long as you think because, again, we have this little rabbit here. I would say in the next couple of months here, again, protecting it from someone that might be trying to poke a hole in it or trying to take credit or trying to borrow. So you're gonna be mindful of that. You have something worth borrowing or taking, so that's a good thing. Okay, let's ease into what represents you in this spread, your soul, your ego, yourself. We have the King of Cups. Always love the King of Cups card when it represents any sign, but in the reverse state, we also see 2 cups in this, which is interesting. It's almost as if the other party or parties are taking more than they're giving. And this king is basically saying, I need a moment. I need a reset here. Notice on this one, the details are important. The cards look simple, but they're not. We see the little octopus tentacle here. So there's someone that could be pulling you back, holding you down, or making you feel like you just can't get to where you want to be. So true love is unconditional. True friendship is supportive. Yes, you can have constructive criticism coming in, but you should never want someone that wants to hold you down, hold you back, or block you. And I get a little bit of that energy here. It could be an emotional block. It could be you also clinging to someone different. But I would say just focus on being happy and doing what's right for you and for the other person, but you have to include yourself in this equation. And at the end of the day, if you've always prioritized someone else, it is your turn to be happy, okay? This is the top of the chain when we're looking at all of the court cards. So this is your turn now. And in a relationship, you shouldn't be accepting less than your ideal, your best. And so if someone is giving you not enough, you have to say that. You have to sort of advocate for it, okay? I was looking at Netflix the other night and I saw like a ridiculous premise for a series where people it's basically they just get married and then try to fall in love. And I'm like, I can't do this. But I thought, what a crazy thing. You really need to know what you're getting into in a contract or into some sort of a situation. And if the other person, if you agree to something, we do it all the time though, don't we? When we take a job, we just take the job and we hope for the best. So it would be so much better for you if you have a chance to vet out an audience or an opportunity before you marry yourself to that, because you don't know what you're getting into and it's a big commitment sometimes. And I think that's one of the reasons that I want you to pay attention to contracts this month, because if that fine print is too much and it holds you back, and there's like a non-competition clause if you're working, or there's a prenuptial that is too restrictive if you're getting married, or if there's any sort of contract that ties you down or holds you back, that's not fair to you if you're not feeling like you've advocated for your side of the equation too, okay? So make sure that you feel good about it. The feeling piece is key, and someone could be trying to be the siren, could be trying to kind of just pull at your heartstrings. So be strong and be secure and be willing to walk away if you need to, okay? And I'm looking at some folks that are talking about arranged marriages. Yeah, I mean, it can work, but when given the choice, I'm not here to kind of talk about cultural stuff. It was more like a premise for a show. I wouldn't volunteer to go on a show and have my life taped and then see what's going on. So that's a different premise, and I'm not here to debate the efficiency or correctness of it. At the end of the day, it is a contract. And like I said, even when we're looking at jobs, we're doing the same. We are just saying, it looks good, let's try, and signing up and kind of committing to trying something. If you can get more inside information, get the inside information. If you're not happy though, cut the ties. And that's basically what this is saying. If it doesn't feel right, if your heart's not in it, if you're not in that job, a friendship, a relationship, and you're not seeing that there is reciprocation on the other part, it's always going to be awkward at the beginning. But if the other person isn't showing up the way that they should, then that's a sign. That's a sign that you'll want to look at. Okay. Some of you might just be really sensitive right now. You could be going through a lot, whether it's loss or depression or stress management. Just prioritize yourself, okay? Because it's still a loving card and it's still a very attractive card, the King of Pentacles. So some people may kind of know something's going on, but they're like, well, if it was a big deal, you would ask, and then they just kind of keep leaning on you, because this is also a very sponge-like card, just like the if we're to look at Libra represented by Justice, sometimes that ends up listening a lot. So just make sure that you're being able to take care of yourself, all right? It's not all about the others. It is about you too. Environment. We have the Knight or the Prince of Swords in reverse. Don't be afraid to redline something. Don't be afraid to kind of go in there and say, this isn't good enough. I want a revision. Because when that sword is reversed, it's like a pen or a pencil, and it's going in there and saying, not this, or how about this, or I have a question here. It's also about getting straight to the point. If something is wrong, you can always have like this big flowery conversation, but you can also say, I care about you. I've noticed this. I think we need to talk about it. What do you want to do? Just kind of like point. It doesn't have to be complicated, or just say, we're not going to be able to do this. What do you want to do to make sure that we communicate that to others? Or just getting into it. And there's sometimes like this sense of relief that happens when you get something off your chest. It can also be a simple yes or no. You don't have to complicate things. Back to the single-celled organism stuff that we were talking about with algae earlier. Simple is better. It's more digestible. Make sure there's a constructive piece to all criticism, and you should have some easy sailing. Okay? All right. Moving on to hopes and fears. Well, I love that we got the Two of Wands for like possibilities, which is really what this shows. And you manifest that which you sort of see in your head. So if you're only worried about the worst, then you can kind of pull in that sort of energy. If you really focus on what's possible, and then people ask you or scrutinize it, you can say, no, this is why, this is how, you got everything lined up, they're behind it. So please take some time to just get clear. I mentioned focus earlier. I would say clarity would be a better word for it. So if you don't know, for instance, what you're trying to do with your degree that you're seeking, let's say you're in college, it would be better if you knew like not just the general field, but what it is you really want to do. Imagining that today was your first day of work. What skills would you want? What experiences would you wish you had? What questions do you wish you knew before you got into that field? Ask them all now. And that was, if I could go back to a younger self, I would say, ask some of these questions to make sure that you're choosing the right school, the right course, the right trajectory. In a relationship, it's super important to know that you have the same goals. That's when sometimes the honeymoon phase is over, when you get past that, just kind of being enamored with someone and then realize, oh, wow, we have some I would say monumental differences in opinion on key core values or issues. So just get that common ground and get that focus and that intention set sooner than later. Because when you do that, look at all the stars around this. You start to manifest, you start to attract. This, when combined with either the Magician or the High Priestess, equals powerful manifestation, synchronicities incoming. So the sooner you know, the sooner it happens. The final card here, not the final card, but the outcome card here is the Five of Pentacles. Five of Pentacles has to do with confidence. It also has to do sometimes with giving way too much and not asking for enough in return. There are times when this makes sense. When your partner is sick, when you are doing something philanthropic, you have more than enough and you just want to give back and you're not expecting a return on it. So volunteer work, service, seva, philanthropic efforts, and then also supporting a loved one who's in need. All of these things constitute a time when the Five of Pentacles makes sense. That's the for better or for worse sort of energy. However, typically the Five of Pentacles has to do with that sort of inner struggle because something in the past happened where someone said, you are not enough of this for this outcome to happen. And it fractures our confidence. It puts a little fissure in our soul energy, and we're like, I don't know, is it gonna? And then after that, it takes a lot of spackling and work. So I'm here to tell you, if a teacher, a friend, or some sort of failed endeavor in the past made you feel like I can't do this, that's not the case anymore. Not only can you, but you will do it. But there is a little hurdle here that you have to get past that's also fogging up your ability to manifest faster. And it is just sort of a fear. I won't be good enough. I don't have enough time or experience to do this, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm telling you that you can do it. To make this card better, all we need to do is add a pentacle here and make it the Six of Pentacles. And the Six of Pentacles would have a much different connotation. It would say, I can choose and discern what it is that I want. I want more of this and less of this. I have the scales here, and I can grow what's in my coin purse here. You can still grow what's in the Five of Pentacles, but you just have to kind of take that extra step. It's the self-worth piece. You're going to decide for yourself, I'm worth it. Suddenly you have another pentacle then. So if I can help you walk away from today's reading and feel that sense of self-worth, then you're already there. All you have to do after that is to say, now that I know that I'm worth it, I won't do this because it's not in alignment with this, and this. I won't do this because it's not going to advance this key thing, which because I've done my homework, I know I want to do. So clarity and confidence equals your manifestation and your success. You're nearly there. In a health perspective, this is about paying attention to moving your body a little bit more. Standard disclaimers always apply, and I'll talk more when I get into health, but I'm not a doctor. I'm looking at metaphysics and how that might affect us physically, but I am not a doctor. I always like to clarify. That being said, this card can sometimes show like stagnation, and it's particularly in the lower half of your body. So move your legs a little bit more. Embody the energy of the Fool, which would be walking, moving, starting something new, stretching a little bit, all of that stuff. It can show like issues with joints like knees and ankles. It can also be like a clotting issue in the blood, particularly in the lower extremities. So again, with anything of that nature, go to a doctor, stop this reading. You can come back and listen to it later. But for the rest of us, Five of Pentacles is usually confidence. And it can be sometimes, like I said, just taking care of the lower extremities and working at walking a little bit more and taking care of the joints. Okay? And then it's the sort of familial scars that happen in youth. Mom, dad, brother, sister, aunt, uncle said or did something that now affects us because we held on to it, because we're highly sensitive, because that was part of your message earlier. Okay? All right. Let's get into the next portion of this reading, which is, of course, the expanded forecast. So I like to basically just let the main Celtic Cross take whatever form it wants to. I find that that's a better way to let spirit come through. But I know that we all care about things like health, wealth, love, and destiny. So we just started talking about health. We're going to continue with the health messages. Again, that standard disclaimer as I'm looking at health. Always work with a doctor. Always listen to your body. Always work with a qualified professional before you change anything going on in your life. That being said, let's see what the cards are saying here. Ask and receive is your first message here when we're looking at health. So if you don't ask, then you never know. If you're feeling overwhelmed and you feel like you have to do all of this, how do you know someone won't help you if you don't try to delegate? Looks like many of you have some really good friends, or they value what you're working on, whoever's around you. So asking is key. You might be surprised in what happens when you simply say, hey, I need some help with this, or hey, can I have some more time? Or what do you think about this? Maybe we could try this together. You could partner up with somebody. Ask and you may receive a lot more than you ever anticipated. Ask for help, emotional help if you need it. So therapy, consultation, mentorship, just a friend listening to you. All of these are part of this. It doesn't have to be a formalized sort of support. It can just be your support system. It's hard to ask. That's why the card is reversed. But ask and keep asking, and the universe is there to back you up. So one of the things that helps with manifestation, it's not like you're asking for like a child's version of a Christmas list. really effective manifestation could be, this is the goal. These are the attributes. Help me do the work to create it, or help me be aware enough to recognize it. That's like a grown-up list for a holiday, grown-up Christmas list. Manifestation is basically that. It's like, I really want one thing and this is how I want it to look, but I don't expect it to just be handed to me or to like pop out of nowhere. Help me do the work so that I can make it, or that if it is out there, that I can recognize it. That is when it's more powerful. My hands kind of lit up with energy when I said that. So it's already happening if you ask. It'll start to work for you, particularly my right hand. So a lot of just great energy coming through for you if you're ready and willing. I'm right dominant, so part of this could be writing it down. It could be an effective way for you to start the manifestation, because words, letters, and actions are really powerful. It's kind of like that's why magic works, right? Incantation, prayer works. It's the same thing. Whether we call it a prayer or magic or a spell, it's the same thing. You're repeating things, you're writing things, you're reading things. You might be putting things together, but that's basically what it is. As you do something, I want you to feel like you're the magician or the high priestess. Everything that you do, whether it's a memo, cleaning the house, picking up the phone, put your magic into it. People will feel something different when they connect with what you've done because it's there. Okay? That was a little bit of a side topic, but let's go ahead now and look at other health messages. All right. Avoid unnecessary conflicts. Again, Five of Swords, you probably can't win this argument. And if you're dealing with a lot of stress, again, that's probably why you're being asked to lean on someone else or ask for a little bit help. All right, let's see what other messages are coming through. You know what? We got a lot of court cards here, kings and queens. So that definitely makes sense what I was talking about earlier, being able to stretch and move your legs. If you're too stationary, if you're doing too much work at the computer, make sure that you do get out and see the world a little bit. Most of your cards are pretty good. And I do think that aside from all of the things that I've already covered with Five of Pentacles, you're actually in a good space. So listen to your body, listen to your legs and your joints, focus on healing the past scars and relationships, and I think that's going to be key. It's kind of interesting that we have the two eyes, right? One that's kind of looking at all of this no-win situation, and one that's looking back and thinking, you know what, maybe there was nothing I could have done that's different. So I'll give you a little bit of a different... Apollo is so relaxed in the background. I just happened to look back there. Maybe we can be like Apollo and just say, you know what, I'm going to put that to rest. There's nothing that I could have done to make it different. And what good does it do me now? Instead, I'm going to focus on what I can do different moving forward. And that's growth. And that's how you don't have regrets. You just basically keep evolving and keep changing and keep doing the best that you can do. Okay, so pretty good overall. Ask for help. Ask for whatever it is that you need, and you're going to get more than you imagined. Moving on from health to the wealth card. This is really great. We have the cheetah, which of course to me shows stealth, speed, the ability to get what you're looking for, right? And aligns nicely with the rabbit here, showing a rapid movement in your sort of energy of abundance. Also with the Wheel of Fortune. So for some of you, what we had talked about with respect to the Nine of Pentacles back at the beginning of the reading is basically that you've actually come to this point, that the snail moment is over or just about to be over. And now you can kind of take it in and relax and see where that brings you next. So I like that. I think that's good for many of you. What it does tell me also, though, is that things are going to be moving quickly here. So that's why you may not be able to do everything you used to or that you wanted to. And that's why you're going to have to step into a role of delegation and mentorship rather than kind of being in the weeds here. Teamwork is so important. And it's not important to have everybody's popular opinion. The person that you care about the most, work with the most, or value the most. That's the one to focus on, not the optics here. So if you get this put together, this happens, and then eventually this card doesn't matter, it gets flipped upright, so we're good. But you can't make both parties happy. You can't make the entire public happy and then your core people that you're trying to to work with. You're going to have to, again, it's not about choosing a side, but you're going to have to choose what's important to you. And then some people may sort of fall away naturally. All right. Let's look at some other things. Of course, this is a hunter, and so you have the ability to get what you're looking for. So I like that. If you're job seeking, things will happen more quickly than they have in the past. All right, let's look at it from a money perspective. So because we're looking at wealth, which can be resources. So I really like the potential, and I like what you have on a core level. The only block here again is confidence, or someone that's trying to give you a lower than appropriate offer, a lowball offer, basically. So if it comes to your house, your skills, your projects or products or services, there could be someone coming in with a lowball. They're trying to see how much you value yourself, and you could just come back and say, call me when you actually have a realistic offer. That's ridiculous. Or give them a really good counter, but someone's coming in too low. You could also be giving away too much. And unless you are, even in a nonprofit, I'd rather get the 6 of Pentacles than the 5 of Pentacles. Because with a nonprofit, you have to pay for overhead. So you're going to have to pay for the team, for the facilities, for the operation. So you would need that extra pentacle to manage it. 5 of Pentacles is severely breaking even, to the point that you couldn't grow, expand, or market what you're working on. So even when you're trying to do something like nonprofit, the only time that this would make sense is pure philanthropy, when you have too much and you're just giving it away. But any other part, I don't want to see the 5 of Pentacles. It's not quite enough. So negotiate for more because you can get it, okay? Or don't accept less than what you're looking for. There's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. So you're going to have to use your persuasive skills this month when it comes to all things business or money or anything, basically. You have great ability to lead, but you may have to lead leaders, or you may have to get a couple of key deciders on your plate, or not on your plate, on the same page. So 2 decision makers are kind of stepping in, and if you can get them on board, then everything falls together. And if you don't, it's a little messier. Contracts need to be revised. Everything ends up in a really positive space. It's just the bottom line. I want you to pay attention to the bottom line, okay? If you're retired, traveling might be something that you're looking forward to. Again, make sure that you're getting the best deal on that trip if you're looking at that. If you're a student, I want you to be more clear on what you're trying to do with your career. And if you don't know, get an apprenticeship. Work with a mentor or 2 or 3, and just make sure that you're getting all those questions answered. All right, let's move on to love. And we have the scales coming in for love. So for some of you, there could be a Libra in your life that steps in, because of course that would represent that. This can also be a moment where you think, do I stay, do I go? It can be sort of do or die moment. So some of you might be looking at signing like a marriage contract, or signing a partnership business contract. You could also be getting a roommate or a new apartment, some sort of a key contract that involves you and another person. The other thing is you could be looking at, do I want to dissolve this? Am I over this? So it's kind of the stay or go energy that's overarching. So why don't we break it down and take a look at those of you that are already partnered, those that are looking for a partnership of some sort, those that are single and happy but still curious what's coming. All right, so starting with currently partnered people, and this could be love or business or the person whom you think about the most. Any of that would work here. Conversations could be better. So we have the 5 of Swords here. You could be pushed up against a wall or painted in the corner, whatever metaphor you want. Someone else could be also from what you're doing. So we really want to elevate things and try not to point fingers or see it as a win versus lose situation. And again, feelings could be hurt here. It's not all about this moment in time. It has to do in a large degree with past stuff that's coming through. It could be a past breakup. It could be how mom and dad treated this person or you, and old kind of like barnacle stuff energetically is coming through, and it's causing disagreements. Because if we took these 2 cards out of the spread, it's pretty awesome. So avoid unnecessary like no-win arguments, and try not to make yourself or someone else feel like they're less than. I mean, that's good advice across the board, but particularly this month. You're going to be put into the spotlight some of you more. There could be like some family gatherings, some more visible things popping up. Remember why you originally kind of got together. This is the friendship. This is the camaraderie. There's one too many people in this equation. We didn't get the Three of Cups or the Devil, but this could be the extra court card could be a parent, a friend, or a third party that's just stirring the pot a little bit and trying to like get it to bubble over. So remember, you love whoever you're with. You have one another's best interests at heart. You'll figure out a way to work through this. If you kind of just go across the center, and because this is past, this is present, this is future, this is possibilities, they're all good. You can do it. There's just this external pressure or this third party that's popping in and kind of creating a mess. So focus on that. If you're trying to think, should I stay, should I go, and you're deciding to go and dissolve a partnership, get a good lawyer, because this is saying make sure that it's 50-50. And this would be a litigation card. And these are two people that are really holding on to what they have, and this is emotions. So yeah, get a good lawyer if you're going to dissolve a contract. I see at least that 50-50, but it looks like that's the sort of requirement or the desire from the other person, as they want half. So I'm picking up on that. There is a chance to resolve things, but if you've already made your mind up, it's going to be okay. These are success cards, no matter how you slice it. You get to decide what's right. All right, that's current partnerships. By the way, I will say if you can get past the drama this month, I do see success. Like I actually feel like if you do work in a family business, or if the two of you work together, there's some really good stuff coming through with that. So it behooves you if you can fix things to fix things. But if you can't, it'll also work out okay. All right, for those of you looking for love this month, you're very busy. So my first warning to you is it looks like your primary focus is either money, personal development, success. And so love absolutely can come in, but it's at an inconvenient time. And you have to kind of figure out, how am I going to fit this into what's going on? And that's oftentimes how the universe works when we're manifesting. When we're just about to let go of something, or no longer it's the main focus, it was like, oh, don't forget about this. And suddenly you have to be the multi-handed goddess here, multi-armed goddess that we see with the Queen of Wands. So you will be asked to multitask if you're looking for love this month. And you can do it. You can absolutely do it. I like that I see, this is your past sort of energy. So for those that are looking, we see two pretty evenly matched cards here. I will say that one tends to be much more focused on work, and I think it's you based on what I'm looking at, or work or money or personal development. And the other one needs a lot more validation. So if you find someone this month, they need to hear, I love you, or how are you doing, or let's meet tonight. They want time, they want energy. So you have to figure out, can I do this? And you're going to have to say things more than you would. You're going to be more verbal than you're used to being, okay? And you may sort of be tired at the end of the day. Just make sure you're getting that 50-50 investment back, because you may be putting in a lot more than this. And so you're just going to have to see if this makes sense. So this month, you look a little bit tapped out resource-wise. You're probably, if you're looking for love, going to get what you're looking for, but then you're going to have to figure out how to balance this other stuff. There are worse things to deal with than the Queen of Pentacles and the Six of Wands. So if you're doing well or having a lot of things coming into your life and love is one of them, it's like, it's a good problem to have, but just fair warning. If you're single and happy, all the stuff I said still makes sense, because I do see a lot of development, a lot of success. People want to partner up with you too, but you're coming through a little bit exhausted, and you may have limited time and energy. Don't be afraid to push back a little bit. Don't be afraid to ask. Ask and you shall receive. Particularly partnerships. You are persuasive. You are attractive and alluring here. You are successful. You are capable of creating more of the same, and you're imaginative. I sound like this restaurant in LA called Cafe Gratitude. There's all these meals named things like this, like, intuition. You are intuitive. But that's basically what these cards are saying. You've got it. You've got it together this month. The only thing that is really getting in your way, Sagittarius, is imposter syndrome, a lack of focus, and maybe difficulty in articulating what you have to say, but you have everything else. And these are easy things to deal with. So partner up. This is where your partnership's going to be different from the other aspects that I was looking at, like looking for love or in love. You could actually just find a really good business partnership or friendship that can help you stay on track. Okay? All right, let's move on to the Destiny card. Lots of reversals this month, but remember we have a retrograde period. It's okay. Reversals are just subtle energy and just a different way to look at things. So I don't freak out when I see a reversal. I just understand we've got some things to work through. This is an Emperor card. It says the god and the goddess in this particular deck, Afro Goddess, are just king and queen. And this is the oracle deck that goes with it. So basically this is like the king or the emperor. So with the card in reverse, some of you are reclaiming that sense of power or empowerment. And so it may be new ground for you. We look at him putting the tie on and thinking, does this suit make me? Does the suit make the leader? The crown make the queen or the king? Not so much. It is that final embellishment. Don't be afraid to step into a new skin, a new persona, a new mask, and basically just sort of see how it feels. And that's really what this particular King, Emperor, God card is saying. I do like that she chose Andrea, I think. I can't remember her last name. But Andrea is the artist and the creator of the deck. But I like that she chose the word God on that because it does remind us that we're all part of the divine. I would have used the deity maybe or something. But we're all part of the divine. And so everything on this planet, Apollo is part of the divine. I'm part of the divine. You are. Algae, the hyacinth, the lily. I tried to get some spring bulbs up there. All of those are part of the divine energy. So don't second guess yourselves. You have the capacity. All you have to do is tap in and believe. If it makes you feel better to dress the part, dress the part. That's sometimes like that little cherry on top. But you've already got this. Something is holding you back from accepting it. But once you accept it, things are going to be exciting, easier. They're going to happen at a speed that you hadn't anticipated. And all of that, to me, sounds pretty darn good, doesn't it? All right, let's take a look now at where we're at. We just got through the expanded forecast. We're going to take a look at something that I call the big idea. This is a chance for us to just tap into one overarching simplification of all this stuff that we've been looking at. I was talking about keeping it simple. So let's keep it simple and just see what's the big message? What's your main thought or opportunity this month that you can focus on to be the best version of yourself or whatever it is that you're trying to create? Quite possibly my favorite Eight of Cups card. I mean, it is. I can say this is my favorite Eight of Cups. So we see Jupiter on the horizon there, and we see someone moving towards that expansion. The door's open in the background. So for some of you, in order to get to the next level, you have to kind of you're not ready to completely take the umbilical cord out, right? You're just like, could I just leave that possibility on the table? And then I want to play in the sandbox a little bit. I want to see what's possible. When you play in that sandbox, you're not going to want to come back. Once you go to Jupiter, there's no returning, because I've actually, I'm a tarot reader and I'm an intuitive and I'm a medium, but as an intuitive astrologist, my astrology knowledge is more like what I see when I meditate. So I've actually gone into the energy of Jupiter before, and although we see the sort of rusty, golden, yellowish hues, the heart of the planet, I mean, it's a planet, it's a gas giant, but the heart of that planet is green energy to me. I've been in there and I just see it like teeming with this life, even though we don't see that. How do we know what's even beneath the surface anyway? But all I saw was green when I've been shown the interior of Jupiter. So to me, that makes perfect sense, but it's connected with this chakra in our body, in our sort of energy system. So if you can get into the green energy of the heart, and I chose algae and I chose that sea slug. Everything today was all green. So this makes a lot of sense to me. Jupiter for me, although on the outside it's orange and yellow and gold and all of that. It's really green. So you have this chance to grow, but the way to grow is to go in here. This is your Jupiter, for today's reading anyway. And once you go there, you're not going to want to come back. But the Eight of Cups, what's cool about it is it is a very good card for business and growth because it can attract people too. Jupiter has a lot of gravity, a lot of pull. It's kind of like this siren, basically. And so you can go back and reconnect with people, the Six of Cups, and you can kind of pull them into the Jupiter energy here. So you don't necessarily have to close the door, but it doesn't mean you're going to relive the past. It might mean that you're going to go back, revisit a little bit and say, hey, look what I found. Come along. So you have this chance to inspire. That is very much in alignment with the Six of Wands too. So it's kind of staying true to your roots, but showing people like the journey and how you are and where you are and why you're happy to be where you're at. Okay. It's an open door, but nostalgia and the past does exist in the past. And a lot of times when we go back to an old place, you realize that the magic wasn't necessarily in the place. It was in the people. It was in the energy that you exchanged in that time period. And so if you go back and revisit something, I feel like you'll want to go back to your new Jupiter, whatever that is that you're creating. All right, so I like the Jupiter on the horizon. I understand the need to have the road between the past and the future. There'll come a point where that door is opened a lot less frequently. For some reason, you're not ready to shut it just yet, and that's okay. Eight of Cups gives us lots of chances. This retrograde is more about understanding and recalibrating the direction and maybe just keeping the door open a little bit longer, okay? Powerful messages today, I have to say. So I did light an extra candle from my mom and I asked her to come through. So some of this is her stuff as well. So thanks to her. All right, let's go ahead now and take a look at blessings and blocks. Blessings and blocks are things that can really help us be the best and avoid some of those like Five of Swords moments. So let's take a look at both and then we'll break it down a little bit. Blessing is the Queen of Cups in reverse. Interesting, since we have the King of Cups here. And the block is the Seven of Swords. There's the sister or the brother card that I talked about. These two typically travel in pairs. So I was waiting for it to come through somewhere else and it did. All right, so again, we're looking at blessings and blocks. We'll start off with the blessing card. You're not alone in feeling the way that you feel. You're not the only one that's going through something difficult. And so that's why Queen of Cups is also reversed and saying, it's okay. It's going to be all right. It's also saying that a good cry, a good release is valuable. Nobody's perfect. And if we hold it in, it's like a volcano. Then you're like Pompeii or Mount St. Helens where, the whole thing kind of erupts and it's crazy. So let yourself go with the emotions. That's a blessing. Again, I have this really cool intuitive friend that's a shaman. And when I was going through significant loss about 3 weeks ago and was really just having a difficult time, he's like, yeah, let the tears come. It's good. He said, I just breathe through them. And it's such like a nice connection to your heart and to source energy. And have you ever noticed when you laugh so hard that you cry, when you scream, any of these things, gosh, there's a release after, right? You feel like a deep breath. Everything's okay. So let it out however it needs to come out, hopefully in a constructive way. But crying and laughing and sometimes even raising our voice, it's something that we have to do to get it to a better space. So your emotion is the blessing. Honor and work through it. Don't put it under the rug. It will come out when you least expect it otherwise, okay? Like a jack in the box. So let it come out now, get it under control. Well, not under control, but get an understanding for it and flow with it rather than sort of being like, under the crash of the wave. All right, what is it that could get in the way this month? What's the big block? It's the Seven of Swords, which I talked about way back in the channel messages. You can't outfox the fox, and that's why we see the two foxes there. And we see him crossing his fingers, hoping that he won't be found out, but he will. So here's the good news. Everybody that is watching this is intuitive. If you tuned into my channel versus, watching something else, it's because there's a part of you that's ready to be opened up. So you will see whatever this is before it happens, or you'll get this inkling because you're intuitive. If somebody tries to get away with something this month with you, I doubt they're going to succeed. The flip side is true too. Don't try to get away with something this month. Be honest. All the things that we talked about earlier, basically, and I'll bring that slide up again, are still true with this one. So when we were talking about the Seven of Swords earlier, so I highlighted it here. Part of it was about borrowing or taking something from someone else. And what we really talked about was like proper credit. So when working with other people, I think just acknowledging how they helped out, super important. And then in general, paying attention to details and then calling things out too. If someone is acting up or doing something foolish, all you have to do is say, wait a second, we said we were going to do this. I have it in writing. What's going on here? And then one thing that can really elevate the Seven of Swords is compassion. So Seven of Swords, sometimes a person in the energy of Seven of Swords, oftentimes is coupled with the Five of Pentacles. They lack support. So when they lack support, they take what they can get. So when you instead go to someone who's in the energy of Seven of Swords, who also dealt with the Five of Pentacles, lack of support, and you say, I'm not so much upset that this is happening, in that more so that I really like you. And this seems very uncharacteristic of you. And I think you can do more than this. So I want to check in on you and ask, is there something wrong? Had you not considered how I might have felt in this? What's going on? Because first of all, this is unacceptable, but I care about you and I'm concerned about this sort of behavior. That will disarm them, because then you're no longer just saying, I'm angry at you, you did a bad job. Instead, you're saying, you matter to me. This is not you. Also, this can't continue. But what's really wrong? Because then maybe you can fix it. Maybe it'll be okay. Maybe there's something going on that you didn't know about. So get to the bottom of the Seven of Swords first, and then decide what you want to do about it. And you may still need to kind of take something back and take control of it, but at least go into it saying, like, I care about you, and I hope that you stop this pattern because it's destructive. That's constructive versus just calling someone bad, because that doesn't really do anything. And we don't really understand why they're doing what they're doing. Okay? So multiple levels to that Seven of Swords. All right, so those are the blessings and blocks. Let's take a look now at viewers and readers' choice. Let me go ahead and get my keyboard up here. And we're going to take a look at the cards and see what trends are noticeable here. And you'll have a chance to vote. So let me just arrange everything so I can kind of need to manifest myself a bigger desk and a bigger apartment one of these days here. So putting that out there into my Two of Wands. All right, as we're looking at your cards here, let's see here. I want to look at your resources for sure. That's a really interesting piece. So let's get this poll set up here. Viewer's choice. So let's look at resource management. And basically, yeah, that says everything it needs to say. If I can spell management, okay. And then let's take a look at, I'm going to do this for you. This is going to be the reader's choice, so we'll hold on that one. So resource management, and then we're going to look at how to recognize the Seven of Swords. So how to see Seven of Swords and correct. We talked about it a little bit, but just in case. And let's see what's next here. You know, I do like that we got the Six of Cups here, so maybe looking at karmic relationships, what to release. I'll just put karmic relationships. We'll see what comes through, and let's see if there's anything else. Because there's the Wheel of Fortune at the center, let's see, manifestation, opportunities. Okay, got a lot to choose from. Have fun with that while I decide to take a look here at asking and receiving. This is the one that definitely caught my eye. So what is it that is availing itself to you? what could be possibly like right on the sideline that you're not paying attention to, that all you have to kind of do is say, hey, what about, or can I have this? So what's the hidden resource or the hidden opportunity? Ah, interesting. Okay, so for many of you, this is a really, I mean, it's an interesting death card. It's very graphic, but I like it. It kind of reminds me of Day of the Dead sort of imagery, because it almost looks like a marigold in the background or a daisy. But what we see here is going beyond the surface, and it's almost like a Russian doll. Once you keep peeling back the onion skin, there's more and there's more and there's more. So death, it's the end of like being able to walk away from something that you've worked on or that you've created in your life, but knowing that that was just one part of the big piece of you, basically. You're so much more than your title, your partner, your even your body. And this is something that having someone that's just transitioned into spirit, they're realizing that now, and I'm having communication with them, and it's kind of interesting to watch them on that journey. We get so attached to this. We get sometimes so attached to, what we're wearing and all of this other stuff, but it isn't you at all. So if you're willing to kind of like let go of something and then ask for some support in like, all right, I'll do this, but I need to know that I'm not completely like losing my mind, or that this isn't crazy. So talk to someone who's imaginative, supportive, and who can be there in the messy creation phase. Because when you kind of strip it down to the bones, that's someone that can see that sort of threadbare version and still like what you have, like you're going to have, that's your true friend, that's your true advocate. So I feel like some of you are going to be able to really see who's got your back, who's there for you. And if you can connect with that person this month, magic can happen. Okay? So don't be afraid to show that true you to that person and let that be a test. But I do see like the removal of a facade, the end of a phase. This is also stagnation when it's reversed. So if you can no longer do anything else because maybe you've become so good at one thing that that's all that people want, but you're meanwhile thinking like, but I want to try this and I need to try that, then that's also a sign that it might be time to move on. And whether you do that alone or with the help of someone else, that's up to you. So just don't be afraid of change is actually the answer that Spirit wanted me to bring through. Okay? All right. So let's see what you chose for me. We have manifestation opportunities, looking like it's in the lead. So let's give it a chance to finish up. I always make sure that the poll is final before I read it. And yeah, by 37%, pretty good margin, we have manifestation. All right, so with respect to what you can do, what's available to you, what's the big opportunity on the horizon? It's more than you think is what I see here. So the Four of Cups, what a cool card to come through for this, because sometimes this is showing like we lack the imagination to see something even bigger. So Four of Cups sometimes is the grass is greener somewhere else. But this particular Four of Cups, we can actually see the firmament being pulled back. It's saying there's one more little trick up your sleeve if you want to try it and stay in this place or stay in this title or stay in what you're doing. But it would involve showing like sometimes like when I do the lighting of the candles, that was me showing the sort of like behind the curtain stuff. So behind the scenes, behind the curtains, doing something that reveals the process could be kind of interesting. And so a growth opportunity is letting people into that or trying a different approach altogether, seeing if someone else will let you in. One trend that I noticed in like documentary movies and sometimes even interviews on television, I don't watch them as much anymore, but have you ever noticed the different camera angles that they'll use? So maybe I'll try that here once. You'll have this, which is the setup angle, and we have the lights and everything all set up. Then you'll have one that's a little further back that shows the team working and maybe the interviewer and the boom mic and all this other stuff. And then Maybe sometimes there's a shaky camera, a field camera. Like, they go to different perspectives to help you see it from different points of view. So I think for you, the opportunity is to look at it from that higher point of view, taking away some of the magic, but showing people some of the work, or looking at understanding some of the production quality or production aspects of this. So some of you may want to be more of like in that production, operation, mechanic, I would even say sort of like industrial energy of it. So go for it. There's something fun if you dig deeper beyond the topical stuff. It's a nice kind of like outgrowth of what we saw with the death card here. Okay? All right. Really interesting. Also, and I saw this for you last night and I didn't understand it, so now it makes sense. So I was shown this sort of like Big Brother type of energy where, have you ever been in a TV, or not TV, have you ever been in a sort of shopping center or like a grocery store or a shopping center, and they have these domes where you know that the cameras are, closed circuit television as well. So I was being shown a hidden but not so well hidden camera in one of those domes, and that reminds me a lot of this. So one last message here for you. People are watching what you're doing, not in a kind of creepy way, but in a way of, hey, is this the one that we want for this? Let's see how they do, and then we may tap them for advancement or for a big growth opportunity. So do everything as if you were always being evaluated and everything was being shared. And honestly, in today's society, everything is being shared and we are being monitored. So just put it out there, put that sort of positive energy, like I'm always going to do my best. And then what'll happen here is someone will see it and someone will tap you for a really great opportunity because they already have their eye on you. Have you noticed in this deck how many eyes are on you right now? Because we have one at the center, we have one here, and now we have this hidden one here. We also have this card where they're kind of peeling apart the onion skin and seeing something that they didn't see before, okay? So I love this deck. I think that it's one of the best kind of modern tarot decks because, again, Rachel and whoever she worked with to illustrate it, they just did a really good job on giving some different interpretations. It makes it fun to read as a reader. That's why I try to change it up. There are certain decks that just have, I don't know, something special. All right, we're going to move on to a new portion by popular demand, sun, rising, and moon sign messages. So a reminder that everything that I do here can always be used for that, but this helps you focus it. So a lot of times people will say, well, what if I'm rising or what if I'm moon? How do I deal with this? Well, now you know. We're going to take a look at sun, rising, and moon to give you a little extra lens of focus, and then you can look at the rest of the reading with that lens in mind. All right, so let me go ahead and I'll just pull all three first, and then we will take a look at sun, rising, moon. Sun, rising. Okay, seriously, moon has a lot to talk about. Moon, 2 for moon. All right, so let's look at sun, rising, and moon. So we're going to begin here first with the messages for Sagittarius sun. And for many of you, this is going to be a month to achieve the perfect balance. So sun sign is the de facto sign that you're born under. This is, for many of you, just how to really focus on being the best version of yourself. But 2 of Pentacles, I don't usually read it as money. I normally read it as a lack of balance or trying to do too much. It can be resources like money or time. And when it is, it's saying, why am I spending so much and getting so little back? Or why am I so exhausted? Have you ever gone to sleep tired and awoken with that same sense of fatigue? You're in that 2 of Pentacles energy when that happens more than once. Every now and then we all go through that. But if you're continually fatigued and continually on that sort of edge, then this is saying, I can't be on the tightrope anymore. I need to really choose something that makes me feel a sense of being grounded, that, people will support me just for being who I am. And ultimately, many of you are just being cosmically called to change the direction a little bit. So the very cool thing with the 2 of Pentacles is there's always an ace. It's 2 aces that you have. Put one to the side or delegate it. We see another person here. And each one of you take one of those aces And like I said, that could also just be self-confidence. I choose to do this because I think I can do this. And then you've got the Six of Pentacles, which is more than enough. So you've got some choices to make. Prioritize what's important, let go of some of the other stuff, and then everything else will kind of fall into place. So that is for the sun sign. For those of you that have Sagittarius as your rising or ascendant, it's all about moving on. We got the Six of Swords, but the Six of Swords was reversed. So some of you are kind of in a ping pong sort of energy. It's sort of like one step forward, two steps back, like that, that song by Paula Abdul back in the day. So I would say you're still making progress, but it would be nice if you could just fully commit and surrender and explore whatever it is that is calling to you. Rising and ascendant, where do they hit you? This is going to be how you show yourself to the world. This is going to be how you work, basically what you're doing in career and work and finance. It's basically all of that external stuff. Not so much like the sun is the true you, right? But the rising and ascendant is the you that you want people to see, the you that you even want to be. It's the projection. So there's something about the projection, much like when we were looking here with the death card here, that is kind of requiring you to let go of something a little bit more. So you're half the way there. And I think if you could just really embrace and go all in, then you're going to truly see movement happen. That's when the cheetah happens, because the ascendant would also be connected to the wealth card here. So if you can just let go and let go further, then things will start to happen more quickly for you. Some of you are moving. Some of you are dealing with loss. Some of you are letting things go. But it is movement and sometimes streamlining or release of things. But that's an exciting card in context with everything else, particularly the Wheel of Fortune. A lot of times to get to the next level, you have to let go of something else, okay? So release leading to what we saw at the center, abundance. And not just a little abundance, but a lot more abundance, because we see the Queen card here on top. Okay, so pretty good for rising and ascendant. Moon, you're complicated this month. All right, so Moon is always a little complicated. It is the things that we are not quite ready to share. It's the things that inspire us. It's our desires. It's our hopes. It's our fears. It manifests a lot of times in relationships, even though I'm not reading for Venus, but it's that emotional component. So you've got two cards, and I'm always excited when there's a synchronicity. We got the Nine of Pentacles, which was kind of the inspiration for today, which led to the sea slug and all that other stuff. So here's your traditional Nine of Pentacles, remembering, of course, the snail, remembering that what it was bringing was that sense of, I can take care of myself. I'm more than enough for myself. And that we see that same energy here, but also with this sort of energy that I'm also the source. So the big difference between this and the other card is we see her here in the garden, but she's not paying much attention to it. Here we actually see her as the embodiment of the flower or the fruit. So everything that you've done, it's self-perpetuating, and it's coming from source, it's coming from self. So you may be the one person that's most clear on your power. You don't let everybody see it. You don't let everybody know it. It wants to come out this month. So the Emperor is your power. The Nine of Pentacles is the abundance, is the nurturing, is the independent piece. But these are both fiercely independent. For a minor arcana or a pip card, this is one with the most, not the most personality, but she has a lot of personality. She can sometimes be a little bit extravagant or avant-garde, or she doesn't care what people think. So if you had like a modern retelling, it would be an artist on this one, someone like Lady Gaga or something. I would see her on the Nine of Pentacles, over the top, right? So there might be a part of you that wants to express yourself with that extravagance, with that, like, this is really what I want to do, and I want to go out bold, right? So don't be afraid to do it, because there's power in your vision, okay? So moon signs, you may be afraid of showing your power and your individuality and this kind of weird kid that's inside, but I think that's really where the power is for you this month, okay? Pretty exciting, actually. And I can see why the two cards came together. Also, unconventional beauty. I really like the way this card was illustrated as well. So unconventional beauty, we are more than our glasses, our hair, and our clothing. And so I love that they have a bald woman on this one here as well, with these beautiful flowers. So be bold, be yourself, be different. All right, I think we've transitioned all the way to the final portion of this reading. This is an exciting piece. We're gonna be looking at the meditation and then a final question. Whatever you have for me, I'll take a look at that, okay? Couple of quick notes and then we'll transition into that. We're making okay time today. Since I've added this, it kind of lengthened everything, this sun rising moon, but I think it's a good addition. Let me know in the comments below if you like it. Please, if you haven't already done so, hit the subscribe button. If you're already able to chat live here on the live feed, you've done that. You can also like and hit the bell icon if you want future notifications of when I go live. Another way to find out what I'm doing is to join me on social media. Like I said, I'm going to do some stuff with Instagram this week because I took some time off just to kind of take care of myself this month, but I'm ready to come back and try some new things there. So keep an eye on that. Feel free to show some support. I think we just got a member highlighting a comment. You can do that when you're a member. You can also do super chat, super sticker, or thanks on replay. And my website has all my scheduling information. So let's get set up for the meditation. And before we meditate, write down your question or just like hold it in your head, hold it in your heart. I'm going to give you a chance to also vote on which instrument you'd like to see me use. I have a singing bowl and I also have a crystal pyramid. Either of these I'm happy to use. The singing bowl is more continuous. The crystal pyramid kind of sounds like chimes. So feel free to vote on those while we're getting the meditation set up here. And while you're voting, what I want to look at is the cards here for a second and see what we can really focus on today. You know, I love the sort of nest energy that we got here. So many cards here with the Six of Wands. And I think that would be something really nice to focus on, is creating this sort of safety webs, safe nest, this beautiful sort of energy. And then imagine maybe instead of an egg that there's just this beautiful pentacle, this beautiful sort of gem that you're holding that's going to kind of like grow into something more. All right. So anyway, close your eyes if you haven't already done that. Take a deep breath. On the exhale, release whatever you might be holding on to in your body, in your neck, in your shoulders, in your back. Just let it all go. Let your worries fade. Focused simply on the movement of your lungs, the sound of your breath. Listen to the way that actually sounds like the ocean. With each breath coming in, you feel the power and the energy from the ocean. With each exhale, you're letting go of things that no longer serve you in your life. Imagine, if you will, that as you sit on the beach here, that maybe you've gathered around you sort of like these tree branches, palm fronds, anything that you want to that kind of like make you feel safe. And it's this beautiful sort of nest of energy. You could also just trace circles in the sand around your body, see them light up, and feel like you're encased in this beautiful, supportive nest of energy. In front of you, in spirit, in your imagination, you have objects, symbols, talismans, sigils, something that's showing what you want to create. You could also simply trace it in the sand, and that may be more effective for all of you. So in the space that is available in front of you, imagine that you could create a symbol for something that you want to see happen. As you breathe, see light coming through the crown chakra or going through your body, and then infuse that energy into that sigil. And then imagine that you could pick it up once enough light and energy is coursing through it, and you could actually like move it around. And it has its own gravity, it has its own sort of energy, so you can kind of start to create things around that as well. Alchemically, I want you to paint this sort of scene using light, using the sand, using these sort of symbols, and basically evoke or invoke this future possibility, whatever it is that you want to create. It could be love, it could be abundance, it could be something even deeper or more spiritually relevant to you. Whatever it is, allow yourself to do that while I play the singing bowl here, and just relax and receive a healing. And then after that, I'll take a look at your final question. Take a deep breath and imagine that you can also call all of this energy that you've created into your heart space, reminding yourself that the heart symbolically today is also connecting us to the energy of Jupiter, allowing you to manifest, allowing you to call in all that which you have been meditating on. And trust now that your vision, that your invocation has been received, has been heard. And let's go ahead now and focus on your final card for today. Final card, of course, being whatever question I haven't yet answered. Just focus on that question. Let me take a look. We'll go from there. All right. So we have the Tower coming through for you, the Tower reversed. I'm someone who doesn't fear the Tower, but as a yes, no, this would be a not yet, or this would be, it depends on what you're asking me. The Tower card typically shows that you're aware that a change needs to be made and that the key is to be as active and as open and as communicative about what you're trying to do with that change as humanly possible. So you have to be basically all hands on deck and definitely very much awake and aware if you're going to do something right now, because this is a card of shifting, moving, and changing. It does suggest that particularly, not just in like construction, but I would say like in any particular situation, that there may be more to be gained by either starting from scratch or really trying something different this time around. So I think it's important to be inventive, to be bold, as we've been talking about today, and to basically shake something down to the core level and really make sure that you are future-proofing it a bit, okay? But as a simple yes, no, typically this shows me that there's a lot of work to be done. So if it was just something and you're not aware of the change, I would say do a little more research. If you know what you're getting into, like you're buying a house and it needs to be renovated, then you know exactly what you need, and this card is just showing a lot of work. Generally speaking, you're going to be okay with this one, but it is about rolling up your sleeves and becoming an agent of change, not waiting for the change to happen. That's always the best way to embrace the Tower. You can't stop it once it's started. So I already see many of you within that energy of change. And as we said earlier, with the Wheel of Fortune upright and in the center of the spread, however you're being asked to change or whatever you're being pushed towards, it looks better than whatever you were coming from. Okay? So hopefully that helps everybody. And I really enjoyed today's reading. Let's go ahead now and move on to the gratitude portion. And this is basically just me taking a moment to say thanks if you were able to participate. I'll start off with just saying thanks to everybody that's been a long-time viewer or supporter. I do appreciate it. And everybody for keeping the chat room open today and great. So I do appreciate that. All right, let's focus on some folks that became new members within the past day or two, and then those who gave back with super stickers or super chat. All right, starting first with the new members here, we have Chelsea L. Thank you so much, rejoining after 7 months. Diane Spencer, rejoining after 6 months of membership. We have Muggle 1983, rejoining after 3 days, also a star member, so thank you. Sylvia Kobayashi, also joining, brand new member. And I think that's everybody from the past couple of days. Everyone else is showing up as like 4 days ago. So thank you so much to all of those folks. And now for everyone that gave a super sticker or super chat today, just a few so we can keep this pretty brief here. Let's see, Shastri Akela, I think it is. Thank you so much for kicking things off today. I do appreciate that. Fly Tourmaline, thank you as well. Melissa Grant and Phoebe Alona. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm just going to say Phoebe. Thank you so much for your contribution as well. And let's see if I missed anybody. I don't think I did. All right, that's everyone for today. And then again, Tahoe for highlighting your membership. I appreciate that as well. Lots of love and light. A reminder here of my upcoming schedule. Of course, I'm live every Thursday and Friday, as well as Sunday and Monday. So tomorrow we'll be doing Capricorn. On the weekend, I'm doing the Sunday Collective, of course, on Sunday. And that's for 7 days the next week ahead. And then we have Aquarius and Pisces coming through next week. I believe I also have a bonus reading because we had an extra day. So I'll take a look and see what makes sense to do. If I feel like I want to put something out there for voting, I'll also let you do that. And then we'll be restarting next. Let's see. Yeah, that's it. Let's see. Monday, Thursday, the bonus on Friday. Yeah, that's everything. Okay, good. Thank you so much, everybody. More to come as we kind of look at as I put out the new dates for the next week. I'll probably do that sometime next week. But in the meantime, lots of love and light. I'm going to give Apollo a bath today and take him for a walk. So thanks for being patient and being a great group. All right. Take care, everyone. See you soon. Bye-bye.